What's up, my fellow creators? Welcome, guys. I hope you're having a beautifully, phenomenally blessed day. Thank you for joining me for a moment in topics with Becky's House of Cards. Today we are going down the rabbit hole with another grief series. This is going to be Death and Revenge. Before we get into it, please like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel down below, set that notification bell so you always know when the next video does go live, knowing that that is a free way to support the channel as well as to connect me with you energetically to get you out more resonating content, whatever that may be. I do want to say thank you to anyone and everyone who has liked, shared, commented, and subscribed. You guys are amazing, and I'm just so blessed. And as always, I'm sending a shout out to my OGs, my new Gs, and anybody that allows me your most precious asset, your time. It's an honor, a blessing, a privilege being here, giving you guys these messages. And my prayer, as always, is that any of the videos of mine that you choose to watch fall upon your heart in a way that remind you to use your intuition, to use your discernment, to take back your power, and to make the decisions that serve your highest journey in this here, now, here moment. So, death and revenge. No matter how somebody has passed away in your life, whether that was through an accident or intentional, whatever. Everybody goes through the stage of wanting to get revenge. I did. And both my mom, my grandma, and my brother, they were all accidental. They were all, it was just whatever. I guess accident. It just happened, right? It just happened. My mom got sick. My grandma got sick. My brother just, he was here one day and he wasn't. We come from a society where it's easier to blame people for no reason, rather than to just accept that things are exactly as they are. And I'm going to use an example here, not one that I've necessarily dealt with myself, but I am going to use an example because I have seen this come up. I had a friend, and her husband passed away from a heart attack, and they were traveling. And they were out in the middle of nowhere, and there was nothing that she could do. Her husband was driving. In fact, it was really bad. They could have gotten into a really bad car accident, and they didn't, by the grace of God. And when she was finally able to, she was able to call an ambulance, and they brought the ambulance, and he was already his DOA, and her children blamed her for his death. They were traveling, they were missionaries, and they were traveling, and there's none of it's her fault. They were chosen to do missionary work, and they chose to do that work, and none of it is their fault. It's not his fault, it's not her fault. It was just, when it's your time, it's your time. But her son went out of his way to make sure that she knew that he blamed her and would seek revenge in any one way, shape, or form. And so she became very defensive when it came to her son, and she too would blame him for any one thing and make it known that, you know what, you take it out on me because of your father's death. Nobody's at fault. But for some reason in this situation, her child really thought that he was going to feel better in treating her this way. And I can tell you, maybe in the beginning you feel better, but after a while that will begin to weigh on you. And should she happen to pass before he does, the guilt will come in when that happens. And so why I bring this up, because this is just an example, guys. Again, understanding this is just an example. You know, when my brother passed away, I blamed my mom. thought it was her fault. She had an argument with him that morning. Nothing else made sense. It had to have been her fault. She had to have done something. What did she do? She was at work when it happened. What did she do? Nothing. And I spent so long blaming her that when she got sick, up until that time, we just had a terrible relationship. We would always yell at each other and we would get mad at each other. And my mom and I were always close. And the 4 years from my brother's death until her death, things were not good. And I remember walking in when she went to the hospital. I remember showing up and grabbing her hand and telling her everything is forgiven, because I didn't want something bad to happen and have that guilt on me. It's all fun and games blaming somebody until something happens. And then the guilt and the sorrow and the pain comes back in. There is no starting over. There's only letting go and beginning here. We don't get a do-over. And even if their death wasn't accidental, taking revenge in your hands, it just leaves you being hurt. And we don't think about that. We think that if we avenge their death, that somehow we're going to feel better. It makes you feel worse than when you started, rather than just allowing yourself the space to feel the pain of their absence. I think that as adults, we forget what sadness is, and it's easier to be angry. And then after a time, because you spend so much time being angry, you can't tell the difference. So when you're sad, you just become angry rather than feeling sad. Because it's scary to feel sad. It hurts. They don't go together. Revenge is not something that we should ever seek in this lifetime. Because no matter what it's for, whether it's for helping you try to deal with your grief, or whether it's for you guys to deal with something else, the only person that it hurts is you. Even if you succeed in hurting another person, ultimately, it hurts you worse. That's the way it works. Just like that, if you've been a victim of any kind of circumstance, you guys feel like it hurt you. Yes, it did hurt you, but ultimately, the other person is the one that has to live with and deal with the guilt. And guilt is not something that is... I feel like out of all the emotions there are, guilt is the worst. Because it eats you up inside, and it tears you apart, and it makes you feel things you never thought were possible. In a most terrible way. Sometimes these videos are easier for me to get through. Here lately, they've been difficult because it's coming up on my brother's birthday. Just past the 11 years of his death. December 31st. About to come up on my mom's. 5-year anniversary. The time will pass the same, whether you seek revenge or you choose to grieve. The grief never goes away. You just become bigger than your grief. If you allow yourself to, if you choose to, or you can spend a lifetime trying to take it out on everybody else around you and hope that that's somehow going to make you feel better. Because it's not. I know from personal experience. I could have spent those last 4 years with my mom. I could have spent working on building a relationship instead of taking it out on her. And I didn't get that. I didn't get to spend her last birthday with her. I didn't get to take her out like I always do. I didn't get to take her to Build-A-Bear like we had made for years and years. Because I was so mad at her. And then she was sick. And then she was gone. So you can spend all this time trying to exact revenge on something that can never be avenged. Or you can find a way to connect with those who are also grieving. And remind each other that you're not alone.